We have breaking news right now. A Oval Office meeting between Donald Trump and the South African president has just descended into complete chaos, with Donald Trump attacking an NBC News reporter, saying that NBC should be investigated because the reporter is asking about a Qatari jet that the United States just formally accepted. Complete craziness in the Oval Office right now.
A Qatari jet to be used as Air Force One.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You know, you to get out of here. What does this have to do with the Qatari jet? They're giving the United States Air Force a jet, okay? And it's a great thing. We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. You are a real, you're a terrible reporter. Number one, you don't have what it takes to be a reporter. You're not smart enough. But for you to go into a subject about a jet that was given to the United States Air Force, which is a very nice thing. They also gave $5.1 trillion worth of investment in addition to the jet. Go back, you ought to go back to your studio at NBC, because Brian Roberts and the people that run that place, they ought to be investigated. They are so terrible.
He is now openly calling for the investigation of journalists that he doesn't agree with. This South Africa bilateral meeting has descended into complete chaos between Trump and the South African president. More to come soon. Follow along for more.
Hey guys, welcome back. Trump tried to ambush the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, at the Oval Office, the way he did to Zelensky some times back. He was claiming that the white South African farmers are being genocided in South Africa. That's why he granted some of them, the 49 of them, asylum to the United States. He even went ahead and showed Ramaphosa some of the clips on the national television at the Oval Office. But I just love Ramaphosa because it reached a point that he was not even staring at the television and he stood his ground. Actually, this might bring Africans together. This is the time for unity, because some of the Western leaders have actually used Africans for quite a long period of time. They have exploited Africans. So maybe Trump was thinking that Ramaphosa is not strong enough. Is not a man enough, but whatever he saw at the Oval Office, it was so interesting. So guys, let's dive in, and kindly give the video a thumbs up and also subscribe if you haven't.
Yet again, the world has been left stunned at what we just witnessed at the White House yesterday. I mean, we knew it was going to be tense because they've been beefing online. But what no one expected was for Trump to ambush South Africa's president with a video compilation and stacks of news reports. And we sure as hell didn't expect Elon to watch on in silence. So what the hell happened? Well, the pressure leading up to this meeting has actually been building for years. Not many people know, but Trump first commented on farm murders in South Africa during his first term in this 2018 tweet. And back then, similar to now, the South African government dismissed Trump's claims as misinformation. Fast forward 7 years, however, he's now doubled down by cutting aid to South Africa, calling out alleged land grabs and white genocide, and of course the fast tracking of the white farmer refugee program. And so finally, when the two were actually supposed to meet face to face, what was meant to be a brief bilateral meeting turned into a nearly hour-long debate. And to be fair, it did start off pretty well with jokes and pleasantries, but it took a turn when a South African reporter asked Trump,
"What will it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?"
But before he could answer, Ramaphosa, who is actually Mandela's chief negotiator, quickly jumped in and said that he could answer that question for the president.
Well, I can answer that for the president.
He said that for Trump to be convinced there wasn't a white genocide, it would take him listening to the voices of South Africans. Now, Trump's response to that, no one expected.
Turn the lights down.
He asked for the lights to be dimmed in the room and for everyone to watch what he had prepared on the screen. What followed was a compilation of videos, but most notably one of Julius Malema, who is a political leader in South Africa, singing a struggle song with a huge crowd chanting "Kill the Boer, kill the white farmer."
Shoot to kill!
Now, this song does have a long history and context and originated during apartheid, but regardless, it made its point, and Trump said directly to Ramaphosa, if this kind of song was sung in America, they would be arrested. But Trump wasn't done. He then brought out something else that he had prepared, a stack of news articles on farm murders. And at this point, other South African leaders joined in on the debate, including the country's richest billionaire and two professional golfers. Elon Musk was also there, however, he barely said anything, which is unusual since he's been very outspoken on the topic for months. Now, ultimately, South Africa argued that the country is facing a general crime problem, but not one that is directed solely at white people. Trump, on the other hand, ironically, despite listening to the voices of South Africans in that room still wasn't convinced. Silver lining though, it didn't end as bad as Zelensky's meeting, and Ramaphosa actually called the visit a great success. So the question is, what do you think?
All right, help me out here. Why did Donald Trump meet South Africa's president in the Oval Office in a public affair to do one of the most spectacular shows of why are we doing this I've ever seen? The conversation came to a point where they were talking about renewing relations, everything was going great, everything was fine. And then Donald Trump proceeded to get the lights down and show a video to the Prime Minister of all these people screaming and shouting, let's just say the G word, and then was surprised when the Prime Minister had a slight reaction to that. Firstly, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you calling this guy into the White House in front of all the press to then show a video and see him squirm when he was watching it? And then the South African Prime Minister came and said, if only I had a plane to donate to you. And I'm just going, oh, damn. Oh, damn. Damn. And then Donald Trump goes, well, if you gave me a plane, I'll take it. And I'm just like, what's happening right now? Please, what am I watching right now? Please, can someone tell me in what world this meeting was in any way a good idea? Why are we doing this? Look, I understand there are problems there. There is a massive backlash against the white farmers and this, that, and the other. But bringing the guy and publicly showing him a video is going to have one effect. And that is, and I quote Donald Trump, good TV. Tell me what you think, because this is wild. Every week. It's every week now. Every week Donald Trump does something amazing. I'm going to say thank you because it makes my job amazing. But tell me what you think.
I'm sorry. I don't have a plane to give you. Now, the South African president visited the White House. They presented the South African president with a bunch of pictures and photographs and headlines and videos. Looked like they were drafted up by a kindergarten, somebody out of a kindergarten school, right? They're claiming that Afrikaners are being slaughtered in South Africa, and the South African president went to the White House and defended this claim, letting the world know that there's nobody getting slaughtered in South Africa, and the people who die in South Africa are not one specific color of people, but the people who are getting killed in South Africa involves all races of people, right? So, after being presented with a few photographs and a few pieces of paper, looked like they were scrapped or cut out by a scissor somewhere, right? Then they showed him some graves, the same graves you see circling around on TikTok, alleging that they're graves of white Afrikaner, South African farmers who were killed in South Africa. A baseless argument. Now, the South African president has no idea, neither does the authorities in South Africa. They have no idea where these graves are located at. Nobody knows where they're located at. They're photocrap shit, cooked up, chumped up bullshit. And on top of that, they try to overtalk him so he wouldn't speak the truth. You understand? They try to overtalk the South African president, trying to overshadow the truth. You understand? And all trying to solicit airplanes as if they're dealing with Qatar. You think what I'm saying? This bullshit gotta stop. All these Afrikaners that came to the United States claiming they're refugees, it's a total lie. Everybody knows this. And this is how MAGA behaves when they don't want the truth to come out. But you see, here's the shocker. They didn't know that the South African president would come to America and confront MAGA's main men about these baseless claims. The South African president also brought a delegation of people with him. You understand? Who has knowledge about these things. Statistical data, all types of reports and this and that. That's the top men from South Africa. So if the top man from South Africa, the president, right, who's very transparent and clear, is telling you that these allegations of white farmers that are being genocided in South Africa and their land's been taken, it's a baseless argument and a complete lie. You understand what I'm saying? But of course, knowing MAGA, they try to down talk him, over talk him. They don't want to hear that because it's the truth. Come on. Do you think the South African president would be in such a situation where he knows this is true and still come to the United States to defend it? Hell no. You understand? But hey, I guess he don't have a $400 million plane to offer them. So
President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, take a bow. You are Black excellence. Have you seen the showdown that happened between President Ramaphosa and President Trump at the White House about this whole white genocide situation happening in South Africa? President Ramaphosa is so strategic and so smart. He knew that as a Black South African, he would not get the ear of the type of president Trump is. So he brought with him in his delegation 3 white South Africans, including his Minister of Agriculture, who were also saying to Trump, this whole story of genocide of white farmers in South Africa is false. Didn't work. Did not work. The Afrikaner white refugees that came to America recently are all famous people. Golfers, there's a billionaire in there. So the theory is that Elon Musk has planted the seed in Trump's ear with his other right-wing allies that there is this genocide of white people going on in South Africa. They also provided him with the absolute proof in this video from this minority political party in South Africa. This political party was spewing a lot of hate rhetoric towards white farmers and were advocating for unaliving them. The gag is, though, that this was a very tiny minority grouping that has absolutely no political power and cannot influence South African policies. So Trump showing that video shows that he really does not understand who is calling the shots in South Africa, because that video totally just discredited his claim of genocide, and he did not even realize that. I give so much credit to President Ramaphosa. He was poised, he was diplomatic, he was articulate, he made sense. Perfect representation of strong African leadership. South Africa, you should feel so proud of your president. He came to America and he shone like a diamond in comparison to his American counterpart. Let me know what you think of President Ramaphosa's visit. Did he do a fantastic job representing not only South Africa, but Africans and African leaders on the world stage?
Hey, welcome back. So Trump sat in front of the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, talking about their country and their laws. He makes up freaking stories that was probably given to him from false reports that his cabinet members didn't even care to do research on, and he spews it in front of the South African president, talking about how there is a G-nocide of all white farmers in South Africa. And then he hands the president of South Africa a jumble of faces of people who were unalived in South Africa. And if you noticed very well, the president of South Africa didn't even bother to look at it. So it's pretty clear that he's still going on with this fake narrative of there is a genocide going on with the white farmers in South Africa, in which those white farmers stole land from the indigenous people of South Africa. They stole that land from them, and the government is recovering that land back. And it goes through this pile of people exploiting their unaliving on television. So, with just a few of those unalivings that he was exploiting on national television, he thinks that that's considered a G-side, right? I think he needs to reconsider and look at what's going on in Gaza, in Congo, in Sudan, and then we can talk about the G-side that is claiming about in South Africa, about the white farmers. This is crazy. So, Trump brought President Ramaphosa to the Oval Office and dimmed the lights like he was about to show a horror movie just to play a video of a French politician singing "Unalive the Farmer." Then he flipped through the papers like your uncle trying to win a Facebook argument, talking about death, horrible death for white farmers in South Africa. And all of this was based on a debunked conspiracy that white farmers are being genocided in South Africa. But you know what? The experts in South Africa say that crime affects everyone. It's about poverty. It's not about race. Now, Trump cut off all aid, called it genocide, welcomed the white South African farmers as refugees, the 49 of them, to the United States, and even used this narrative to push his anti-woke politics globally. And Elon Musk, and he's been echoing this same narrative for years, claiming that South Africa's laws are anti-white and even blaming affirmative action for why Starlink isn't in South Africa. But you know what? Here is the thing. Starlink never ever applied to be there. This wasn't foreign policy. It's a culture war campaign dressed up as diplomacy. Now, Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, he tried everything. He tried bringing golfers, trade unions, and even a giant book about golf, but Trump wasn't hearing it. So, I don't know. I guess we are just supposed to ignore the fact that a president used the Oval Office to push white victimhood propaganda with the richest man in the world sitting right there. You guys, what do you all think about this? Do you think that whatever President Trump did to the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, at the Oval Office was the right one? You know, it was kind of trying to ambush Cyril Ramaphosa the way he ambushed Zelensky last time, but this one, we are not sitting it because Africans are woke right now. The way some of the Western leaders have been exploiting African countries, right now they are finding it different. You know, he granted asylum to the white South Africans after he deported the black and brown people just because he wanted to make America white again. Why didn't he grant asylum to some of the marginalized countries? There are people suffering in Gaza. There are people suffering in Congo, in Sudan. Why didn't he consider such kind of people? He just went ahead to grant asylum to the white South African, claiming that they are farmers. And even the South Africans themselves said that those white South Africans who are granted asylum to the United States are not even farmers. You know, there is this clip of the white South African who went to the United States as a refugee. He claimed that he left a 5-bedroom house in South Africa just to relocate to the United States. And upon landing in the States, he found out that life there is too expensive. It's totally different from the life he was living in South Africa. But the South Africans don't want them back. Where do you think they will head to? Because now they're claiming that they're so tired of speaking in English. America, if you don't speak in English, how are you going to survive? Do you think they'll be speaking this Africana language in America all the time? We'll be able to understand them even if they're out in the job market. Who will be able to employ them if they don't speak good English? Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I really appreciate your support. Until next time, see you on my next episode.